In this video, we're sharing 6 reasons why we love proficiency scales. When we've been discussing outcome-based assessment, we've been focusing on either using a weighted average model or a proficiency scale. Using a weighted average is a nice entry point to get started with outcome-based assessment because it is making relatively few changes from our more traditional approach. It still gives us more flexibility in our assessment, and it still allows us to report specifically on the big ideas in each course. But if we're able to create proficiency scales, there are even more advantages. Now, it isn't an insignificant task to create proficiency scales. It can be a big job, and we need to create a proficiency scale for each of our outcomes in a course. For each proficiency scale, we need to clearly describe what each level of achievement looks like. It's a big job. But all of this work up front really pays off once the course is started. And on that note, here are the 6 reasons to love proficiency scales. Number 1, one rubric and you're done. The proficiency scale is our rubric for the entire outcome. Any assessment you give within that outcome, you always use the same proficiency scale. There's no need to ever create another rubric or marking scheme. It's already done. This gives you all kinds of flexibility to vary your assessment methods, but the rubric is the same, no matter what you choose. Number 2, easy feedback. Feedback for students is practically already done for you. If a student is currently working at level 2, then the proficiency scale shows them what they need to do to improve to level 3. This can also be really helpful for allowing students to reflect on their own learning along the way. Number 3, reporting. You can easily use the proficiency scale to indicate next steps when you're writing report card comments. If you're having conversations with parents, you can point very clearly to areas of strength and areas that the student needs to improve in. If a parent or student ever does question a mark being too low, it's no problem. You can direct them to the proficiency scale and happily agree that you would update a mark in an outcome if they can demonstrate that they're now working at a higher level. After all, that's pretty much what we're hoping for. Number 4, less chasing. Chasing after kids to complete missing work is no longer such a big problem. If a student misses a quiz or a small assignment, but the concepts are going to be covered again on another assessment, then this just becomes a missed opportunity. The student has missed the chance to show you what they know and to get feedback. Now, if the student wants to complete it, that's great. But it's less pressure on the teacher to have to track down a student and make sure that every little item always gets done. Now, of course, you'll still have some non-negotiable assessments. These are the ones that the student absolutely must complete. But the smaller ones, leave that responsibility to the students. Number 5, end of year marking piles. The end of a semester can often mean a lot of extra marking as students hand in work. When missing work is entered as a 0 in a mark program, then even if a student hands in anything, even very poor work, their mark will still go up. This is because in a point scoring system, anything above a 0 still helps. But with the proficiency scale, we're always considering what level we are confident a student is working at. In order for their mark to increase, they have to show you improved work. If it isn't better, then the mark doesn't go up. So say goodbye to big piles of marking. If a student does want to hand something in, one thing should be enough, and it needs to be their very best work. Number 6, asset-based. Outcome-based assessment and the use of proficiency scales in particular makes our assessment more asset-focused. We aren't looking for mistakes that students made. We're looking for what they can do and what their next steps are to improve in the future. It gives the teacher more of a coaching role as we try to improve student learning by directing students towards the next level of the proficiency scale. And there you have it, 6 reasons to love proficiency scales. If you're considering using a weighted average model as you begin implementing OBA, that is a terrific place to start. But as you become more comfortable thinking about outcomes in your course, you might want to consider trying out proficiency scales sometime down the road.